TV soap news and spoilers say that in the heart of a quiet suburban town, where manicured lawns and white picket fences belie the simmering dramas beneath, a storm is brewing. The air is thick with tension, and at the center of it all is Nicole Dupree, a woman whose life has been upended by betrayal and heartbreak. After years of enduring a marriage that crumbled under the weight of infidelity, Nicole has finally taken a bold step toward reclaiming her future. She has filed for divorce from her husband, Ted, a man whose wandering heart has led him back into the arms of Leslie Monroe, a figure whose name alone sends shivers down the spines of those who know her. But as Nicole prepares to embark on a new chapter with a promising new man, Carlton Hayes, a shadow looms large. Leslie, with her penchant for chaos and her unrelenting desire to disrupt the lives of those around her. The question on everyone's mind is this: will Leslie continue to target Nicole, and will she dare to set her sights on Carlton, pulling him beyond the gates of Nicole's carefully rebuilt world? Let's unravel this tangled web of envy, betrayal, and ambition to explore whether Leslie's meddling will once again upend Nicole's life. A marriage in ruins. Nicole Dupree was once the picture of suburban bliss. With her warm smile, impeccable style, and a reputation for hosting the best dinner parties in town, she seemed to have it all. Her marriage to Ted Dupree, a charismatic but flawed man, was the cornerstone of her life. Together, they built a home filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the promise of forever. But beneath the polished surface, cracks were forming. Ted's late nights at the office grew more frequent, his excuses flimsier, and Nicole's intuition sharper. The whispers of infidelity began to circulate, and soon, the truth could no longer be ignored. Ted was sleeping with Leslie Monroe, a woman whose charm was as dangerous as it was undeniable. Leslie was no stranger to the Dupree family. A former friend turned rival, she had a history of inserting herself into their lives, always with a smile that masked her true intentions. Her beauty was matched only by her cunning, and she wielded both with precision. To Leslie, other people's happiness was a challenge, a puzzle to be dismantled. When Nicole discovered Ted's affair, it wasn't just the betrayal that stung, it was the realization that Leslie had once again wormed her way into their lives, leaving destruction in her wake. The divorce papers were filed not long after, a painful but necessary step for Nicole to reclaim her dignity and her future. A new dawn for Nicole. With the ink still drying on her divorce papers, Nicole resolved to move forward. She was done with tears, done with sleepless nights replaying Ted's lies, and done with Leslie's shadow hanging over her life. She threw herself into her passions, her boutique floral business flourished, her yoga classes became a sanctuary, and her circle of friends rallied around her. But it was a chance encounter at a local charity gala that truly sparked a new beginning. Enter Carlton Hayes, a man whose quiet confidence and genuine warmth stood in stark contrast to Ted's flashiness. Carlton was new to town, a successful architect with a disarming smile and a knack for making everyone feel at ease. When he and Nicole locked eyes across the crowded ballroom, there was an instant connection. Their first conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with laughter and shared stories of travel and ambition. By the end of the night, Carlton had asked Nicole out for coffee, and she accepted, her heart fluttering with a hope she hadn't felt in years. Their first date was a revelation. Carlton listened intently, his eyes never straying to his phone, and his questions showed a genuine interest in her world. For the first time in a long time, Nicole felt seen, valued, and alive. But as Nicole allowed herself to dream of a future with Carlton, a nagging unease lingered in the back of her mind. Leslie Monroe was not one to let happiness go unchallenged, especially not Nicole's. The town was small, and gossip traveled fast. It wouldn't take long for Leslie to catch wind of Nicole's budding romance, and if history was any indication, she would see it as an opportunity to strike. The shadow of Leslie Monroe. Leslie Monroe was a woman who thrived on control. To her, life was a game of power, and she played it with ruthless precision. Her beauty was her weapon, her charm her shield, and her envy her driving force. She had always viewed Nicole as a rival, not because of any overt competition but because Nicole's grace and resilience threatened Leslie's carefully curated image. Where Nicole built, Leslie destroyed. Where Nicole loved, Leslie coveted. And when it came to men, Leslie had a particular talent for turning heads and breaking hearts. It was no secret that Leslie had relished her affair with Ted. To her, it wasn't just about passion, it was about proving she could take what belonged to Nicole. The affair had ended, but Leslie's obsession with the Duprees had not. She lingered on the fringes of their social circle, always watching, always waiting for an opportunity to stir the pot. And now, with Nicole moving on with Carlton, Leslie's radar was undoubtedly active. Carlton, with his charm, success, and undeniable appeal, was exactly the kind of man Leslie would set her sights on, not out of love, but out of a twisted need to assert her dominance. The question wasn't whether Leslie was aware of Nicole and Carlton's budding romance, it was what she would do with that knowledge. Would she watch from the sidelines, biding her time? Or would she take a more direct approach, weaving her way into Carlton's life as she had with Ted's? The stakes were higher this time. Nicole was no longer the naive wife, blindsided by betrayal. She was a woman reborn, fierce in her determination to protect her newfound happiness. But Leslie was a force of nature, unpredictable and relentless. The clash between these two women was inevitable, and Carlton was caught in the crosshairs. A game of cat and mouse. As Nicole and Carlton's relationship deepened, the signs of Leslie's interference began to surface. It started subtly, a lingering glance from Leslie at a local wine bar where Nicole and Carlton were sharing a quiet dinner. Leslie was there, draped in a crimson dress that demanded attention, her eyes locking onto Carlton's with a predatory intensity. Nicole noticed, her stomach twisting with a familiar dread, but she brushed it off. She wouldn't let Leslie's presence ruin her evening. Carlton, oblivious to the undercurrents, squeezed her hand and smiled, pulling her back into the moment. But the encounters grew bolder. Leslie began appearing at places where Carlton was likely to be, his favorite coffee shop, the gym where he worked out, even a community event where he was speaking about sustainable architecture. Each time, she was all smiles and charm, introducing herself as an old friend of the Duprees, her words laced with just enough innuendo to plant seeds of doubt. Carlton, ever the gentleman, was polite but distant, unaware of the history that made Leslie's presence so threatening. To him, she was just another friendly face in a small town. To Nicole, she was a storm cloud on the horizon. Friends began to whisper warnings to Nicole. "She's after him," said Sarah, Nicole's best friend, over coffee one morning. "I saw her at the gala, practically throwing herself at Carlton when you went to the restroom. She's up to her old tricks." Nicole's jaw tightened, but she refused to let fear take hold. She had fought too hard to rebuild her life, and she wasn't about to let Leslie unravel it again. But the question remained, how far would Leslie go? Would she stop at flirtation, or would she cross the line, attempting to pull Carlton beyond the gates of Nicole's carefully guarded heart? The gates of trust. The metaphor of the gates is apt for Nicole's journey. After Ted's betrayal, she had built walls around her heart, fortified by pain and mistrust. Letting Carlton in had been a leap of faith, one that required her to lower those defenses and believe in the possibility of love again. But Leslie's presence threatened to slam those gates shut. Every lingering glance, every calculated encounter, was a reminder of the past, a past where Leslie had taken what wasn't hers and left Nicole to pick up the pieces. Carlton, for his part, was a man of integrity. He sensed the tension between Nicole and Leslie, though he didn't yet know the full story. When Nicole finally opened up about her history with Leslie, her voice trembled with a mix of anger and vulnerability. Carlton listened, his expression darkening as he realized the depth of Leslie's cruelty. "She's not going to come between us," he promised, his hand resting gently on Nicole's. "I'm here for you, not her." His words were a balm, but Nicole knew better than to underestimate Leslie. This was a woman who thrived on chaos, who saw other people's happiness as a personal affront. If Leslie wanted Carlton, she wouldn't stop at subtle flirtations. She would play dirty, and Nicole had to be ready. The battle ahead. As weeks turned into months, the tension escalated. Leslie's tactics grew more brazen. She sent Carlton a friend request on social media, complete with a playful message about getting to know the new guy in town. She showed up at a charity run where Carlton was volunteering, her running outfit leaving little to the imagination. And then there was the night at the local theater, where Leslie accidentally bumped into Carlton and Nicole, her laughter too loud, her touch on Carlton's arm too lingering. Each move was calculated, designed to provoke Nicole and test Carlton's loyalty. Nicole, however, was no longer the woman who had crumbled under Ted's betrayal. She had learned from her pain, and she was ready to fight for her happiness. She confronted Leslie at a community event, her voice steady but sharp. "Stay away from him, Leslie," she said, her eyes locking onto Leslie's with unwavering resolve. "This isn't a game you're going to win." Leslie's smile was all sugar and venom, her response dripping with mock innocence. "Oh, Nicole, I'm just being friendly. No need to get so territorial." But the glint in her eyes told a different story. This was war, and Leslie was playing to win. The town watched with bated breath, the gossip mill churning with speculation. Would Leslie succeed in seducing Carlton, as she had with Ted? Or would Nicole's strength and Carlton's loyalty prove too formidable? The answer hinged on Carlton's character and Nicole's resilience. Carlton, for all his charm, was not a man easily swayed. He valued honesty and connection, qualities Leslie could mimic but never truly embody. And Nicole, fortified by her past, was no longer a victim. She was a warrior, ready to defend her heart and her future. A future in the balance. As the days grow shorter and the air turns crisp, the stage is set for a dramatic showdown. Leslie's envy and ambition have set her on a collision course with Nicole, and Carlton is the prize she seeks to claim. But this is more than a battle over a man, it's a battle for Nicole's right to move on, to love without fear, to build a life free from the shadows of her past. Leslie may see Carlton as a trophy, a way to assert her dominance over Nicole once more. But Nicole sees him as a partner, a beacon of hope in a world that has tested her resilience time and again. Will Leslie continue to target Nicole, weaving her web of deceit and manipulation? The signs point to yes. Her history of meddling, her hunger for control, and her inability to let Nicole find peace all suggest that she will not back down easily. But the outcome is far from certain. Carlton's loyalty, Nicole's strength, and the support of their tight-knit community may yet prove to be Leslie's undoing. The gates of Nicole's heart are open, but they are guarded, and Leslie will find that crossing them comes at a cost. In the end, this is a story of redemption and resilience, of a woman determined to rise above the pain of her past and claim the future she deserves. Whether Leslie succeeds in her schemes or crumbles under the weight of her own malice remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, Nicole Dupree is no longer a pawn in anyone's game. She is the architect of her own destiny, and she will fight to protect it, no matter what lies beyond the gates. Our TV channel Soap News and Spoilers is the place for those who want to know how the Salem story goes, as well as great Beyond the Gates updates and news, so subscribe to our channel to get what you want. Bye-bye.